Ladies and gentlemen, if a family is not centered on God's ideal of love, there will be conflict among the members of that family. Without God's love as an absolute center, the family will ultimately break down. Moreover, a nation of such families will also decline. Because illicit, self-centered love invaded the first family, selfishness and greed have continued to dominate human history from the individual to the family, society, nation, and world. For this reason, God's work of restoration begins at the individual level. Since Satan knows this, he focuses his efforts also on the individual level. It is not by chance that self-centered individualism has become the dominant way of life in these last days. People feel increasingly alienated from those around them and bear little sense of responsibility for the well-being of their country, society, or even their own families. Rising divorce statistics indicate that husbands and wives feel little responsibility toward their marriages. Parents do not take proper responsibility for their children, and individuals devoid of any sense of human dignity fail even to take responsibility for themselves. America and many other countries of the world have seen such phenomena at work beginning with the youth movement of the 60s. Idealistic youth rejected the materialism around them in order to seek love and peace. But in the process, they also abandoned morality and responsibility. Unable to attain the true love they sought, many disillusioned young people resorted to suicide, drug abuse, and free sex. Of all these, what pains God most is free sex. A world of free sex is absolutely contrary to the will of God and the ideal of the family. Love comes from the stimulation of unblemished emotion, but free sex is totally devoid of purity or true emotion. How many of us have been touched by the cruelty of infidelity and divorce? Where is God in all the one-night stands? What about the nightmare of children who are sexually abused by their parents? Is free sex worth the price of a broken child? Indeed, where there is homosexuality, free sex, drugs, and alcoholism, the world of true love is far away. In this world, Satan openly tells people, drink, take drugs, have sex. Those who do God's will, on the other hand, live a lifestyle that is 180 degrees different from this. Throughout history, those who choose to walk a spiritual path of self-sacrifice have been bitterly opposed and persecuted by the rest of the world. For example, it is only God's love and blessing which have allowed the Unification Church to prosper despite worldwide opposition. The fact that our church has risen from obscurity in war-torn Korea to become a world-level religious movement in only 38 years testifies to God's continued guidance and support. There are those who continue to oppose the Unification Church, spreading wild rumors or trying to prevent our teachings from being heard. Again, Satan's way is always to attack that which is most precious to God. Yet, Those who go against the will of God can never prosper. The principle holds true that those on God's side who can endure unjust persecution will win the right to take back the blessing. God's strategy is always to be hit first and then take back what is rightfully his. Ladies and gentlemen, the Bible teaches that Eve was the first to disobey God and enter into a relationship with Satan. Due to the fall, not only Eve, but also Adam and their sons Cain and Abel inherited Satan's lineage based upon selfishness and false love. As the descendants of the original couple, which was compromised by Satan, we have all inherited a satanic lineage. For this reason, Jesus said in John chapter 8, verse 44, "You are of your father, the devil." The Old Testament described a process of restitution according to the formula, an eye for an eye and a tooth for a tooth. In the divine principle, we refer to making restitution for a wrongdoing as paying indemnity. To make restitution for her wrong actions, fallen Eve needed to take the entire responsibility upon herself. She should have reversed the actions of the fall and made spiritual and physical restitution for each step of the fall. It was God's will that Eve assist her younger son Abel to unite with the will of God. We know from Genesis that Abel had his offering accepted by God. However, this was not all that was expected of Abel. Through Abel's love, Cain was supposed to recognize Abel as God's chosen person and unite with him. And Eve was supposed to help them bring about that unity. If Cain and Abel had united, the second of the two problems of the fall would have been solved. The unity between Cain and Abel, centering on Eve, would have created a foundation to restore the whole of Adam's family. Throughout providential history, we see the same role played by special women called by God to help unite the positions of Cain and Abel as a restitution for fallen Eve's role. In the Bible, one of these